Meanwhile...
And eventually, they always do, in time.
Such beauty to behold.
Oh, you're here. Ah, you're back. Were you successful?
All is well around these.
Are you serious? Then Akatosh must be aware of our pursuits, and the offerings must have drawn his attention as we intended. Splendid!
Get done dusting, it's time to start again.
Truly. What did he say?
I don't know much about this stuff.
Blood of the mother you have in full, yet breath of the father you have yet to fully obtain. Curious. Quite vexing. Well, the blood of the mother must pertain to Alessia, Raymond, and Tibia Septim, so if those are the symbols in full he spoke of, then that means there would be 3 more symbols under the breath of the father. This is quite interesting. Well, yet to fully obtain would imply that some of the items you brought along must be symbols of Shore. Oh my, this is an Imperial Royal Advisor seal with the crest of Zurin Arctus, the Underking.
That delivery boy from the butcher won't behave.
Zurin Arctus, Imperial Battle Mage and Advisor to Tibia Septim, was referred to as the Underking, but the accounts are quite confusing.
I don't want to bother Orion.
There are disrupting stances on who exactly the Underking was, because, so far as I can tell, he was comprised of 2 souls. High King Wolfhearth was also considered to be the Underking in one of his lives, of which he had several. Wolfhearth of Atmora was a High King of Skyrim who was said to have saved Skyrim from Orcay, who summoned a shadow of Alduin to consume the entire population's age down to that of children. Of course, how much of this is truth or mythology, most will never know. Wolfhearth summoned Shore to fight Alduin, and then used a shout to restore the people of Skyrim, but it advanced his age so far that he died. Then the people of Skyrim sung forth Shore to lead an army to march upon Morrowind, and Shore raised the ashes of Wolfhearth to be the general. This is where his Ash King title came from. After that battle, he was once again slain, and his ashes carried back to Skyrim by Kine. This is where he became the Grey Storm, or the Storm of Kine. He was summoned forth many times over the ages to exact revenge and conquest. Eventually, he rested for a time, which is where his Underking title derived. He later awakened when the Greybeard spoke a prophecy of the coming of Tibia Septim, whom Wolfhearth would eventually come to serve as the Storm of Kine, and was how the name Talos Stormcrown came to be. Oh, it gets even better. He's also regarded as being the tongue of Shore, or an avatar of Shore. His power with the voice was so extreme, in fact, that he never spoke. As a single word could tear down an entire mountain face, he made his many royal decrees through the written word. He was also responsible for restoring the ancient Nordic pantheon and driving away the Alessian pantheon we know today as the 8 Divines. In one of Wolfhearth's lives, he was allied with Tibia Septim and Zurin Arctus. They betrayed him, however, and his soul was trapped within the Mantella, a massive soul gem constructed by Arctus to use as a power source for the Numidium. This trapping cost Arctus his life, however, and his soul was merged with Wolfhearth within the Mantella as an unintended consequence. When Tibia Septim agreed to allow Morrowind to maintain a certain degree of independence from the Empire, the Tribunal agreed to turn over the Numidium to him. The entire purpose of the Mantella was to mimic the heart of Lorkhan, which was the original source of power for it. The next best thing was to use a massive soul gem with the soul of an avatar of Shore, which is of course the Nordic interpretation of Lorkhan, and hence the need to trap Wolfhearth's soul. With the Numidium, Tibia Septim was able to conquer the Somerset Isles. Wolfhearth was bound to Tibia Septim as Dragonborn and with the title of Ismir. and Arctis was bound by way of his soul, merging with Wolfhearth and sharing the title of Underking. So therefore, Zurin Arctis must be one of the three representing this Breath of the Father.
Oh my, interesting.
The truth of divinity resides in the will of the worshipper. Most of what is true in our world is because we simply choose it to be. Divines are only such because they are believed to be, and that faith powers them. Much of what exists in the heavens is mantled or reflected here on Nirn. So a shared title does very much mantle itself to a shared connection in some way. Well, I would surmise breath to mean the voice or the Thuum. The blood of the mother would pertain to Alessia and her blood pact with Akatosh, which means that the father... Could it possibly be Mora House? Sorry, let me step back. So, the Herald is implying that there are representations of 6 individuals who could make the amulet whole again. 3 of these represent Akatosh, Alessia, Raymond, and Tibia Septim. The other 3 represent what I assume is Shore. Zurin Arctis, Wolfhearth, and, if I am correct, Mora House. Mora House was, or still is, a demigod who was the husband of Alessia. His name means first breath of man, and is considered tied to Kine in that regard, and also is associated with the Thuum, as is implicit in his name. This bonds him closely to Wolfhearth, who, again amongst many other titles, was called the Breath of Kine. Well, let's not forget, Shor is the Nordic version of Lorkhan, and one telling states that the Chim El Adabal is formed from Lorkhan's blood. And in the Covenant, Akatosh filled that vessel with his own blood, so really, the Amulet of Kings seems to be a reflection of both deities. Exactly. So it seems we need to obtain something pertaining to Wolfhearth, and something from Mora House. The armor of Mora House is one that still persists to this day, in fact, and has surfaced a number of times over the years. It is also known as the Lord's Mail. You may have noticed I have a habit of tracking down various curios and artifacts in my spare time. And as it turns out, the armor was entrusted by the Empire to the care of General Tullius. But news came down recently that it was stolen by a deserter, so you might inquire at Castle Dower as to what became of it or what leads they have. Who knows, if you find it, they may be willing to entrust it to us for safekeeping. But either way, we could certainly use it for our ends in the short term, before returning it and get a replica out of it if nothing else. As far as Wolfhearth is concerned, during his reign, the capital of Skyrim was Windhelm. From what I remember, there are various dedications to the High Kings of old around the city, which chronicle their deeds and record their deaths. I would explore there and see what clues you might uncover. He also resided in the very same Palace of Kings that stands today. Once you have the remaining relics, you should be ready to return to Sancre by way of the Ayleid Waystone and appeal to the Herald of Akatosh. If I do not see you again before then, take care of yourself. And as always, I'm here if you need me for anything. Until next time.